done, well done. How is it?
Horrible.
Okay. Okay. So let's break down the horribleness.
Because I know it really well, but I haven't played it for a few days.
Right.
And that became very apparent when I got up and I was like, there's its stuff.
But how often do you play it in public?
I've played in public twice.
Okay, but in the last few days?
Last Thursday.
Oh, you did?
But
okay.
I haven't played it since Thursday.
Okay, but that I don't think should make you feel terrible.
It's just, your mind goes blank.
Okay, so that's another. There are all sorts of different ways in which the nerves can kick in, and that's a classic. Foggy, blank, numb, all of those things are another freeze mechanism. Yeah. So, and it's very much an armouring that we do to kind of protect ourselves from what we think is going to be judgment, which is understandable. So, what about where are you feeling sort of tension?
My hands are numb. My legs go numb before, because when I was sat there, and when you were saying to everyone else that we should breathe, I was thinking, I'll breathe before I go up and see if it helps. But I don't know if you've ever been ill and you know you're going to be sick and your legs sort of go weirdly numb and cold.
Yeah.
I get that.
Right, okay. Okay. And what about tendonitis? I mean, you want to talk about tendonitis?
That I think is just bad practice in a lot of orchestral playing now.
Yeah,
it's just tension.
You know that.
Yeah.
Yes, it's tension, but it's also part of... Okay, anything to do with tendonitis and things like that are basically an extension of tension. And where does the tension come from? It's usually the things that we've been talking about. Not always, but it usually is. It's like a sort of a build-up of stuff that happens over a long time. So yes, that's doing quite a lot. And you're right. My sense, and this is where I'm intuiting rather than knowing, my sense is you're gripping with your elbow. Is that happening?
Not that I've noticed, but when I do stop playing, it does ache quite a lot.
Right, well then you are. Because you wouldn't, you may not notice at the time, but you will notice at the end. So if you're gripping, this is so classic, that and this, it's just like putting a sort of an armour up. So it's a case of finding ways of letting go. So out of all the things that we've talked about today, what resonates the most with you, for you personally?
Probably the grounding, because if I'm thinking about sort of going this way, I'm not thinking about locking everything.
Right.
I know I don't breathe a lot.
Okay.
When I play at all.
It's very, very hard to be tense when you breathe. So therefore, that is probably likely to be the case. Should we get that going then? Should we get you into let's just take some of the things we've done so far with other people. So the feeling of roots and the ground, so you're standing. Can you feel that? Just imagine that going down. What does it feel like?
Reassuring, I think.
Reassuring, good, fantastic. Okay, what about, let's do this sort of idea of the gravity sense. So that you're just going, bleh, and it happens to feel the violin.
Just open strings.
Just open strings and a sense of free and gravity. I'm just going to come round, if you don't mind, and just kind of help you be, you're very tight. Okay, okay, yeah, very tight. So just see whether, I'm going to put my hands there as a sort of focal point so that you can just be aware, see whether you can feel the tension happening. Okay, just sort of gravity with those strings. So hang your arm down, just let it really... Okay, all right, we're going to go one step further back. Can we put that somewhere safe? On the piano source, that's safe? Yes. And can you do the dead weight of your arm? Yeah, that. Now what does that feel like? Does it feel different from what you do if you played with your bow?
I think so, yeah.
Okay, it's good to try this, yeah? So that is the weight that if you direct it at that will give you a lot. So now pick up your bow and take that same feeling of like weight and just use that instead of the tension with your strings. So drop your arm down, gravity. So really that's
it's just very distracting trying to think about that as well. But I think with practice.
Yes, it is very distracting, because whenever you do something new and you're learning something new, it takes up quite a bit of brain space. Other things go wrong, so don't give yourself a tough time if other things go wrong when you're doing it. So of course it's going to be distracting, because you're doing, it's like, ooh, my body's got to get used to this weird new feeling. But all you need is to feel that it's a good thing and it's going to help you, and then you can bring it into your playing.
Oh no, it felt better, definitely.
It felt better.
I think incorporating it into everyday practice is going to be
okay.
the challenge.
Yeah. But then if you've built up to the tendonitis stage, you're going to have to do quite a lot of unlearning. Yeah? You're going to have to do a lot of breathing, a lot of gravity, a lot of the dead weight approach, which is just kind of using weight instead of force. Because what you're doing is you're locking here and you're doing that, instead of letting that go and letting your arms sink onto the strings. Okay, so just let's do a combination. We're going to do, so did we do it? We haven't done any breathing, have we? So let's get you breathing. So we're just going to do open strings. If you'd rather not do go straight into the Sibelius, because that would be too much. So let's just do open strings and get you breathing. So we've got the gravity, we've got the groundedness, we've got the gravity, and we've got breathing. So 3 things to think about. Deep breath. Deep breath. So let your arm go. Let your arm go. Keep breathing. Keep breathing. Keep breathing. Breathe. Breathe. Keep breathing. Okay. So how did that feel?
Better.
Okay. What did it feel like being in front of everybody doing that?
You kind of forget about them after a while, which I think helps.
That's good. That's really good,
yeah.
because that shows that things are going in the right direction. If you're not worried about them, it's fine. I mean, as in, apart from the fact that there were sort of nice people sitting there listening and everything, but that shows that you're getting into the place where you're focused on what you're doing and you're feeling freer and less nervous. Yeah, are you feeling less nervous?
Yeah.
That's good. This is all good. Okay. Why don't we? Do you think you can do a couple of phrases of Sibelius?
Yeah, that's fine.
Good. Okay. So what we go? So go through the steps. Feet. Gravity, in sort of feeling the weight, feeling free shoulders. Gravity. Take a deep breath, and then start. Keep breathing. 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 Wow. That's really good. How did it feel?
It felt better.
What did you think? Lots of nods and smiles. So I think that's a good thing. Isn't it interesting how that's changed with such simple things? So yeah, it was really, that was actually, I really felt you focus on the music then. And it was like did you think about that?
No, I was so sort of focused on what was happening here. It was like,
this is what you want. This is what you want. This is exactly what you want. This is all about managing nerves and going to a really good performance. It's like focusing everything in. So you can see the different components, can't you? That we're sort of building up all sorts of different things for different people. So what did you feel with your arms that time?
I almost wasn't, at the time I wasn't aware of them, but now there's not as much sort of, I felt when I put my violin down I didn't sort of drop, which normally happens. When I put the instrument down, everything sort of lowers.
Okay.
And I realised that my shoulders have been under my ears the whole time.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't feel they
So,
did that
no,
so
but
much.
the sound was, did you notice the sound? The sound was so different. because it wasn't so tight, it wasn't so held, it wasn't so protected. So you felt freer. So these are things that are important for you. So it's like breathing, grounding, gravity, and keep breathing.
Yeah.
Keep breathing. And this, I would do 5 minutes of open strings, thinking about these things every day before you start, and then start bringing it in. Because what will happen, this is why I say open strings, is because it just gives you a chance not to, you don't have to think about anything. You're just doing this and you're thinking arm, legs, breath, legs, feet, connect, breathing. You know, you're just thinking very basic things. So you give your body a chance to really absorb that information. Your body takes, I'm making this up, 5 times longer to get something than your mind does. I mean, the 5 times is just me giving a random amount, but it takes considerably longer. I teach a lot of Oxford students, and they're all incredibly, their brains are, firing on all cylinders. And I have to go, okay, I know you've got it, I know you've got that up here, but what about this? And it's this sort of thing of really slowing it right down and getting it so that you give yourself the time to let that work. That's great. Do you want to do anything else? Is there anything else that you would like to do right now?
I think the breathing is probably the main thing.
Yeah.
If there's anything else that's glaringly obvious, I need to sort of fix.
No, because you've got, all the tension stuff is starting to shift in front of our eyes. So that the tendinitis will go. It's the tendinitis. As you can you see where this is coming from? How that works? It's actually coming from that. Whereas if you get this idea of that, the gravity, and you're not holding so much, and you get your focus in this, and you get the breathing, and you're solid on the ground, all of these things practiced in will start having an impact. And the great thing is that because you've had the courage to get up here and do this in front of everybody, you know the feeling of what it feels like to do the Sibelius well in front of other people. So that's a kind of body memory that you can remind yourself of. You can do it, and you can do it really well. Okay, fantastic.